Yo, what's going on? And welcome to some Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms. Now, this, as it says in the name, is an idle clicker game. And so one of my friends is really into idle games. So I'm always looking out to see if I see anything cool and letting him try them out if he wants, telling him about them. But this week, I actually have just been real tired, and I was like, I don't want to play a real game. I just want to play something easy that doesn't really involve, or like, I don't really need to do that much. So I started looking for idle games, and I saw this had released on Steam. I think it's still in early access, but it's free on Steam and it's an idle clicker based on D&D. And so I was like, oh, that seems way cooler. You have like a party and stuff, and you're not just like staring at a non-moving screen. Like there's actual stuff happening, and there's like combat, so I can pretend like I'm doing something. So I started up this game. It has a pretty decent tutorial to kind of teach you stuff as you go. But there's this event going on at the moment, so I thought I would do a mission out of this event. So how this game works is, like D&D, you have which ones are? You have campaigns. So these are all the campaigns over here. And then so this midwinter one is the event one for the winter or whatever. And when you go to a new campaign, you can earn up here in the top right what's called favor. And favor will make you earn more gold every time you do a mission in that campaign. The missions in the campaigns are called adventures. And so any successive adventure in a campaign, you'll be earning more gold for your past completions of adventures here. So as you can see, I did this one, and I went down here and did these two as well. And that's earned me a whole bunch of these things, 6,110 of these things. I forget what they're called, some sort of relic. But that gives me 6,000 extra gold, percent of extra gold. So we're gonna hop into this mission right here, and you also earn gift boxes just by doing stuff. So then you use the gift boxes to buy your way into this mission. Obviously I have way too many gift boxes, so it's very easy to earn those. You don't really have to do too much. Yeah, I don't actually like this guy. Oh, excuse me. So since I swapped guys, I don't actually have a character, but you do have a click that allows you to do damage. And now we have some units out. There's a lot of enemies at the moment. There's usually not this many enemies right off the bat. I mean, it did say this mission was gonna be fairly difficult, but I wasn't expecting this. This is like next level. But as you can see, I'm making a whole bunch of gold. When you first start off in one of the earlier missions, you won't be making nearly this much gold. Holy crap. I'm actually just like gonna die in the first 2 seconds. Click faster. Alright, we completed the area. I need to... I must be off my game. Don't forget you can get... Yeah, okay. So we're gonna turn auto progress off real quick because the game is going way too friggin' fast at the moment. And we're gonna try and level up our units down here. You can see kinda how you level up your units there. You saw we got a gift box. And here you can always scroll over this to see what our objectives are. We're trying to complete area 125. So we are currently on area 2, and each area has a quest. So right here you can read the quest. Most of it's just like kill everything and you win, which tends to be how most people play D&D anyways. And I am friggin' dead. All right, so when you die, it doesn't matter if you die. There's no consequences to dying. What happened to this person? Didn't I just summon them? Okay, there we go. So let us set up our squad. You can see there's kind of like circles where I could put everything. And then we can level up our units to hopefully make them better at dealing with this nonsense, because we are getting overwhelmed at the moment. Right there, we got this guy to level 25 and unlocked his ultimate, this bash ability. We're going to save that for more difficult things like bosses. Although, just the basic game is looking pretty friggin' difficult at the moment. I don't know why there's so many enemies. Like, this is actually absurd. I've never seen this many enemies in this game. I guess the missions I've been doing are just too friggin' easy. Is that the problem here? Just click really fast. Alright. I don't know where they're gonna send us. Okay, back to the first part. So we could also increase our clicker damage, which might not be a bad idea. So now we one-shot everything with our clicks. So this is actually pretty smart, it looks like, for this mission, because all these early units are very weak. So our click damage is 17. These things have like 9, 10 health. So we one-shot everything. There's also these background things like that weird rabbit and the crow. And if you click on them, they aren't actually real enemies, but if you click on them, you can get gold for it as well. So now we are starting to amass some gold. There you can see a crow. We got another gift box, goes up into our stash. Here it kind of shows the rewards, and then it shows the formation of this mission. Each mission is going to have different formations that make it a little bit more difficult. So if we look in here on this guy's abilities, he has an ability where any champion next to him is going to get buffed by 187.5% damage. So that is quite strong. So you want to kind of plan your formation in a way where you'll be giving out the buff to the most amount of people. Now if we level her up, her buff is also going to give all adjacent champions 100% damage. Now there's going to be more specific buffs coming up that we actually have to think a little bit harder about. We can't just put everyone next to each other and call it good. But here for this mission, it appears that leveling up your click damage is actually quite profitable, because there's so many enemies that my champions actually aren't able to handle it. A lot of times the earlier missions, your champions can kind of just handle everything, and we'll get to that, I'm sure, but at the moment it seems to be easier to just click, which is something that I haven't seen in the game before, so it's kind of unique to me as well. And what we're trying to do now is we're trying to get to the point where our characters can handle the waves of enemies. And I think this character normally does cleave. Yeah, they do cleave damage, which is going to be good for handling large hordes. So we're actually going to level them up. And we are going to continue on because I think we can carry ourselves with just clicks. Clicking real fast. And then this, you can see here, once they get to level 10, we'll be able to increase everyone's damage by 100%. And the problem right now, obviously, isn't damage. We have plenty of damage, like my characters one-shot anything they hit. There's just too many enemies for them to handle. And so we're prioritizing this unit that has cleave over here, and we will probably try and prioritize other units that have any AoE as we go on. Our next unit here is a rogue. He unfortunately is not going to bring any AoE to the table, but that is okay. Should we level up the rogue, or should we finish this character? We'll get the crow. We'll kill everything on the map real quick. And we'll try and get enough for that rogue before this next one. So the 5th mission in every little part is going to be a boss fight. And there's a little like dialogue and stuff. I tend to just skip it because I don't care. Maybe that's bad. But they're kind of just like stock quests. They're not that exciting. I'm not really invested in the story. I'm more about like, hey, I get to feel productive without doing anything. Okay, we just one-shot the boss. So when the boss dies, they drop a whole bunch of gold. There's a little rabbit dude, and then they drop this bag, which drops gems, which you can buy chests with that give your characters gear. So if we look at gear here, this guy, I've gotten all these different pieces of gear for him from chests. So they buff his various abilities and such. And so our next unit is actually a bard. And the bard is very good. The bard also fires 2 shots at the same time every auto attack. So that should help us starting to deal with just these absolute mobs of enemies. And since we have so much gold, we need to actually just like start leveling like crazy. I know there's some macros over here and stuff to level faster, but you know, it's whatever at the same time. We need to push these enemies back because they keep catching up. So this guy now, he is going to give 100% damage to everyone that's in the same column as him. So you can see when we move, there's also columns. And so everyone in the same column as him is going to do 100% extra damage, which means we probably want to put him in a column of 3 people. So we'll put him up here with everyone else at the moment. And we'll actually put him in the middle. I may have read one of his abilities wrong earlier. Yeah, he gets more damage, not he gives everyone damage. He gets a lot more damage for everyone that's next to him. So you want to put him next to as many people as possible so his damage increases. We'll increase his column damage. We'll just keep buffing him very quickly. We'll kill that guy. And we should probably move on to the next section and keep leveling. As you can see, they also have like normal buffs that are just gonna give them like 100% of their own damage. And since we're making such crazy amounts of gold because I have so much favor, I'm kind of behind on leveling as well. But so this character is now going to get a skill where everyone in the column behind her is going to get 100% damage. So as you can see, if I can point it out, take a break from murder, the only person in the column behind her is our cleric. So that's the only one getting a benefit from that buff. But we can change around our party to be more advantageous. So say we move her back here, move her in the middle here, this guy up, we'll move him down here so he's next to that other person. And then we need to get this guy so he's not currently being attacked, so then he can move into this column. And now that buff is affecting all 3 of these people, plus she's buffing everyone, plus everyone in this column is getting buffed by the dwarf. Holy crap, we are getting overrun. Let's level up our clicker damage and just start zapping fools. So yeah, I've never actually done a mission that's this hectic. Like I've said, I wasn't ready for this. Might as well just go forward. Why not? We need to just get more units, I think is the problem right now. But we have like, this guy is doing 0 damage at the moment. Oh no, he's not doing 0 damage. He was just debuffed or something. So we're just gonna level him like crazy until, as you can see, it's starting to get a lot more expensive to level him, which is good. That means he's catching up to where he should be. And you can always move your mouse over any gold that's on the floor to pick it up. Otherwise, it'll automatically get picked up either when it reaches your party or after a while if it's not a map where your party actually moves and it's like a defense. And I always try and level whoever is the least costing person for the moment. Tends to be the most efficient especially if they have buffs that buff everyone, because then you're buffing people who cost a lot for less cost. And I like to prioritize unlocking ultimates, because ultimates are very good for boss fights. Did he lose his ultimate? He just doesn't do damage at the moment? Why does everyone do 0 damage? Can we talk about this? Everyone in my party currently does 0 damage? Why is that? I don't know why that is. Maybe you can't stay in the same map for too long on this variant? I'm not sure what's going on. A large number... When a pixie or sprite is killed, they sprinkle a random champion with pixie dust. Any champion sprinkled with 10 pixie dust has their DPS and formation abilities disabled. Pixie dust stacks reset when you change areas. Okay, so there's a modifier that I've never seen before that is doing that. Once we've killed enough of these little pixies, they start to spread all their pixie dust and make it so we don't do damage anymore. Which could be bad for farming one location for a long amount of time. You might have to switch back and forth a lot. Which is actually why I turned back on auto questing, so we'd start moving forward a little bit. And we will start leveling up our cleric. And then we will level up this guy, and so he's about to get a specialization buff, where we can either choose to make him do more damage for how many people are adjacent to him, or we can increase his column buff, where he buffs everyone in the same column as him. So we can choose which one we want to focus on. Do we want to focus on his damage, or do we want to focus on his buff to everyone else? And I tend to pick the buff, because there's some really good units later on that I feel like benefit more from that extra damage than he does. So right here, he can focus on his own development and get 200%, or he can focus on everyone's development and give everyone in the column an extra 100%. So it does kind of incentivize you to go for the 200% on him, because it's more damage and it's probably more efficient right now. But if you have some really good DPS sitting next to him and you're buffing 2 people, you can get a lot more benefit out of that, in my opinion. And so, what do we want to level next? Could level our clicker damage a little bit more. Do we even do clicker damage? Oh, we do a lot of clicker damage. Alright. That's fair. So next we'll keep working on our cleric, because she's only costing 13,000. But she needs 20 levels for her next upgrade, so we need 11 more. I feel like this is really fast-paced at the moment. I wasn't expecting it to be this fast-paced. But it's kind of slowing down now, and we can kind of get back to why this is an idle game. I'm kind of curious how they... Because if you kill 10 pixies, then you lose all your damage. But this game keeps going even when you close it. So like if you're in the middle of a mission, your characters will continue to just fight the enemies and gather gold for you. I wonder if that effect stops if you turn off the game, or if it keeps going. I genuinely do not know the answer. So we'll give her, she just got 300% extra damage, which is pretty crazy at the moment. You can see her damage as well is 290 million at the moment. Our party DPS is 128 million. And then we can hover over everyone else and give an idea of them as well. So this guy's at 12.1, this guy's at 149, and this is at 2.47. So she's by far our highest damage at the moment. It looks like this boss fight doesn't have pixies. So I guess that's good, because it would really suck to have one of your characters just be useless in a boss fight all of a sudden. Because the boss fights are really hard later on. Like, some of the bosses, and not only are the bosses super strong, like they have a bunch of health and do a lot of damage, the longer you don't kill the boss, the more the boss's damage stacks up. So it'll multiply its damage by 2, and then by 3, and then by 4, and then by 5, the longer you haven't killed the boss. Which essentially prevents you from just like tanking it forever. Which is probably a good choice, because if you just heal tanked it, probably would make that the best strategy in the game. So we will put the Bard right there. That's fine. And the Bard is going to get a very useful defensive ability as well. But we have not gotten there yet, so I think we'll save that for the moment. And we have a whole ton of gold again, so we should start spending it. We'll level up this person, get them that buff. And that's actually going to be a really good buff that I like to make use of. I will explain it once we grab it. But here we can buff this guy. And he mostly focuses on his own damage. We're going to level her up to 90 and get her 100% damage to everyone on her team. And then we will level up this character. And so we can see what this buff is going to do is it's going to increase damage of all champions by 125% for each monster attacking her. So she's in front, so anytime anyone is attacking her, everyone in my squad is getting 125% extra damage. Also, that enrage, where the boss multiplies his damage, works on that ability as well. So right here, each enemy enrage stack. So that means if the boss isn't dying, every time the boss multiplies its damage, you're multiplying your entire team's damage by another 125%, which can become really ridiculous. You can take a squad that can only do like a fourth of the boss's health, and then all of a sudden, as the boss starts to get stronger, you are all of a sudden doing a fourth of his health every hit. And so you can kind of look here if we click on it. This person's basic attack is called Guiding Bolt. It's doing this much damage, which is 2.28 billion damage at the moment. Things scale really fast in this game, so the numbers get pretty obscene, and it's on a 6-second cooldown, so every 6 seconds, one enemy is going to get hit by that. And then, so like her, every 6.7 seconds, she's going to do 29 million damage, but it's also going to cleave and hit targets next to it. And we just kind of one-shot this boss as well, but we're only on floor 20, and this game is going to ramp up really hard. So we're going to floor 125. The furthest I've ever been in any mission is about 75. And usually after about like 60, 65, you just have to put the game down and let your characters farm up gold while you go do something else, because they just can't move on to the next mission and actually be successful. They'll just die if they go to the next mission. So you need to farm up gold and get these upgrades that are going to cost ridiculous amounts. So what is the next upgrade that I want? Probably 300% for our little dwarf dude here, because it's fairly cheap, and it'll get him 30 levels. And also, every time you level him up, it is going to buff his stats a little bit, so you can see his damage going up every time we click the level on him. So it is just going to buff his general stats every time as well, and then once you reach a milestone level, you'll get a cool effect on that, which is going to either buff your damage a lot more than one level will, or just buff your team, all those neat things that we've already seen. And our click damage is actually worthless at the moment. So you can see we upgraded click damage quite a bit. It's doing 41,000 damage. These things have 7.5 million HP. So our clicks don't do damage, but we can kind of stun enemies. And as you can see, this guy stops moving when we click him. So if we click him a whole bunch, then we can help out our team. And we also can like cancel archer shots by clicking. So we can help out our squad by just clicking, even if our clicker doesn't do damage. A lot of times on the easier missions I've done, I just don't level up the clicker at all because it still has the same stun effect, even at level 1. It just doesn't do as much damage. So now we actually get one of my favorite units. This guy, Ashara, a female I have no idea how you say that word, but it's a wizard, and her attack is going to do a whole bunch of damage on a 7-second cooldown, but it shoots 3 missiles that hit random enemies. So each missile can hit different enemies, and so she is a very powerful AoE tool. And we are falling dramatically behind on level ups, so we're just gonna spam level ups. Oh, we actually killed the boss. We're gonna turn auto progress off just for one mission. I know that the Pixies are gonna start affecting us with their pixie dust, but we're gonna try and catch up on levels. So this guy's next buff is 50 levels away, so we should probably focus on something else. So this, usually I like to focus on increasing my damage, because damage seems to be the thing that you fall behind in, and you can do missions a lot faster if you increase damage. So I pick a lot of those. I've never actually picked the healing one. I don't know how good it would be. It might be really good, but I have not tried it. And then here we will actually get our tank's ultimate, and our tank's ultimate is going to hit a random... Oh, I want this guy. Also, if you see the little distractions in the background, they're just called distractions. There's also that snowman started moving, so you could click him. But this crow is going really slow, so the crow's not going to drop that much gold. But if you see something moving really fast and you click it, it's going to drop a lot more gold for you. So if you are looking at the game and not just AFK, the faster things are going to give you more gold. So it's better to prioritize those. And we've actually almost, see that guys, we're going really fast, and he gave us a lot of gold. We're gonna go to the next part because we're doing 0 damage again. And this whole 0 damage thing seems to be quite annoying actually. So if we get 5 more levels here, we get 100% damage for everyone. I accidentally grabbed 6, but that's fine. We'll then also get her 400% more damage because she has cleave. I think that will be quite good. This guy is going to get an ability that's also quite interesting because he's a rogue. So if there's no one in front of him, then he's going to do 100% more damage. So that includes the entire column in front of him. If this goes away, so he's at 2.18. If we put this person down here, why did he go up in damage? Okay, there's other stuff affecting him, but if anyone's in this column in front of him, then his damage will go down, or I guess he won't have his buff. So it's really good to often put this guy in the front, like the very front column, because then no one can be in front of him, so he'll automatically have that buff. He also has a secondary buff that he unlocks later on, which is kind of contradicting to it, but you can get both to go off if you do it correctly. And so his second buff is going to increase his damage if he's surrounded by 3 different races. And so we have like human here, we have dwarf, we have another human, we have whatever that word is, and we have half elf. And it's important to note that half elf and elf count as 2 different races. I tested it earlier just to find out if it did or not. So you can get both of them to go off if you position him well, like in the middle here. Then you can have one person above him, one person below him, and 2 behind him. And then probably you'll have 3 different races in there. So he will be able to get that buff. Plus there'll be no one in front of him. So he will get both buffs. But you can also prioritize one of them. Like if I want to put him in the back instead, then I can prioritize the 3 race thing and make sure that's stronger, because I'm not going to be putting him in the front because my team or my squad just doesn't call for that. Also, we're hitting 0 damage again, so we're going to go on to the next mission. We have way too much gold because I'm trying to explain stuff. Can you just like spend all of our gold, please? Faster. Okay. Everyone gets 100% damage. Fantastic. Here, 10 levels. You get 400% damage. Fantastic. 20 levels here, and you get 400% damage. Great. I love it. 15 levels here, and this guy gets his ultimate. He just kind of throws out knives at 10 random enemies. And so, his ultimate is going to be based off of his damage. I don't know what the multiplier is, but like, so however many multipliers are affecting him are gonna increase or decrease his ultimate. And it's important to note that that buff that I was talking about earlier, where things attacking her or the enrage counter being up, works on ultimates. So you can like let a whole bunch of enemies get to her and attack her because it's based on the number of enemies, and then pop an ultimate that kills everything on the map in one hit. Because it's an AoE ultimate and you just stacked its damage through the roof because there's 10 things hitting, so you're getting over 1,000% extra damage, which can be kind of absurd at times. I think we're kind of winding down. We're still going really quickly, but so what do we got here? I actually don't have enough money to keep going for that. Also, this rogue guy, although I don't like him that much, he's a male, right? Yeah, he's a male. He's a drow as well, but I don't like him that much. But he does have a cool effect, which, or like a cool upgrade that I like to go for pretty early, because what it does is he just increases how much gold is dropped. And I think that is at 125. He increases your gold by 10%, and so that stacks with this percent that you see up here. So since I'm getting 6,000 extra percent, 10% of that, he's gonna add 600% more gold that's dropped. And then he gets the buff again at level 175, I believe. And so that will, I believe it stacks on itself even. So then it would give like 680% more. So we'll be above 7,000 if we get both of his buffs. And then the Bard here is just, in general, one of the best buffers in the game. And how her buff is going to work, we're not quite there yet, but she buffs the people in front of her. And so now she grants 100 temporary hit points to any, or like when someone gets damaged on my team, like say the drow gets hit, then she will give everyone in this radius 2 slots away from her 100 temporary hit points just because he got hit. So you can see, and it's on a 15-second cooldown, you can see why that is ridiculous, because if it's hitting your tank, which it's reaching my tank, he's within, or she's within 2 slots, it's, that tank is going to be able to tank more. Plus, I have a healer right behind my tank. So the tank gets hit, gets a temporary shield of 100, while the healer is healing up that damage that the tank took. And then as long as you're not getting super out DPS'd, you'll probably be able to sustain like that forever, because that is a lot of sustainability. And again, we just have a ridiculous amount of gold. We're just gonna try and spend Oh, we spent it all. Mostly because we tried to level someone who was already quite expensive. And the reason I want to level her is because I can level up her damage buff. I really should try at some point because like she has a survivability buff. I could have increased my healing on that right there. Excuse me. So that's a really fast crow. He gave us a shit ton of gold. Like he gave us 1.5 billion. And we'll look at this crow. This crow gave us about 0.2 billion. So you can see that there is a great difference between fast crow and slow crow. And so we'll increase damage, and we need to move on because we're hitting 0 damage again. This modifier is really annoying. Plus there's a lot of pixies. Like a lot. Okay, so we'll level up her because she's fairly cheap at the moment. We'll get to 145, giving her 400% more damage. Now she's already doing in the trillions. And as you can see, we're picking up snowballs at the moment. Is that what we're looking for? Yeah, we're preparing for a snowball fight. So that's our quest. And we'll just move on to the boss, because why not? What's our next guy? He's a ranger. I don't really understand why this ranger has a sword. That was not explained very well. There's also other units, so like I started with this guy here, and he's still level 1, so I could swap him in whenever I want, but he's gonna take the spot of my dwarf always. And he'll have a separate level, and he has his own abilities. I just like the dwarf more. I think his column buff is ridiculous. And I like this other guy over here, because his buffs are also out of hand, but one of his first skills decreases your gold find, and so you have to get that skill to actually get his other buffs. And I just think that decreasing your gold find is so horrible that I can't bring myself to use that guy very much. And then the other guy we have is this Regis guy. I used him once. I think he has like similar buffs to this lady, where he buffs the people behind him. He also has his ultimate is a buff instead of a damage, which made him quite unique. So maybe I'll end up using him more, but this cleric is out of control with how much she buffs people. Like, not only is she healing constantly, but if you put her in the middle of the team, she's buffing everyone here. And we can check that buff is actually at... Was that the first one? Yeah, I think that was the first one. So she's buffing everyone for 200% extra damage because they are all adjacent to her. And let's move on to the next phase. I don't think we're actually going to stall out because the pixie dust is kind of preventing us from actually stalling out because we have to keep going. But here we can actually increase her ability again in 5 levels. So everyone just gets 100% more damage. So we're now at 500 billion damage, or as the DPS of my squad, which is real freaking high. But the game will catch up to us very quickly. I know you're looking at it and being like, this is too easy. Once we get past 60, it's not going to be too easy anymore, I'll tell you that much. So this guy, he's going to be able to increase his rally ability. So we will work for that, which we have enough gold for anyway, so that doesn't matter. What do we want next? 5 levels, increase her damage by 400%. Sign me up. Get this crow real quick. Picking up like flowers, offerings. Who knows? Okay, so we should also get her ultimate, but we should definitely work on leveling our rogue so we can actually get that ability that gives extra gold. So we'll just do that because we have money. So here you can see it increases all gold found by 10%. Boom. So now our gold find is at 6.7 thousand. And so that's just gonna passively help my squad farm up more. I tend to prioritize that just because I want to set myself up to a point where I can just walk away and collect ridiculous amounts of gold. But like I said, I don't know how well walking away is actually going to work on this mission because of the pixie dust nonsense. What are we looking at here? We're trying to level her up at the moment, but she's catching up to our gold cap. Because like as we continue on through each zone, or like even each separate floor almost, I'd call them, you're getting more gold every successive floor. And as you can see, these enemies are already starting to survive. But so like we're picking up 1.28 billion from just a regular enemy now. And in the past, that was actually quite a lot for us. So the game does scale ridiculously, as you might expect. And here she's actually going to get a 70% increase to her healing ability, which I assume stacks if you had picked the increase to her healing ability earlier. But she also gets stacks on her damage ability, so there's that. So if we get her to 60 now, she'll increase everyone's damage by 100%. Then we'll increase her damage by 400%. And then we'll get her some more levels and increase her shields. The shields on a 5-second cooldown might actually be good. But I'm still gonna go with the damage because I'm dumb. But yeah, maybe if you go super defensive, or maybe if you even just take a few of the defensive ones, I don't know. Some of the defense ones might just be really broken. I just don't know, because not only did this game like just come out and it's in early access, but I haven't played it all that much. Most of it's just been AFK. But yeah, I don't know if there's all that much more to share about this game. It's pretty fun if you just want something pretty relaxed to do. Obviously, this mission doesn't seem very relaxed, but we'll get to that in not too long. We'll just start running through everything. And now I'm actually going to start, because we have a whole bunch of buffs back here that we've grabbed. Now I'm going to start leveling up our main damage dealer. And so his first thing is actually a specialization where he bonds with a race. And this one's actually going to be tough. But I think I'm going to pick elves and dwarves, because I don't think I'm going to use him as my primary damage dealer. I use him as my primary damage dealer for like this chunk of the game right now. He's going to be doing most of our damage. What's his damage actually at? He's at 94 trillion. So she's at 200 and she's now at 460. As you can see, things adapt very quickly as this character gets hit or not hit. So it's kind of hard to keep track. But this girl right here is an elf. And so she will benefit from... I'm trying to figure out how I should lay this out now, though. Because I think if we go up to the front, put you on the front, and so we're going to change the column that is our damage column to this one right here, because her buff is very valuable right behind her. And so we're gonna move this guy here because he is the column, essentially. This guy's going to buff elves and dwarves, so he's gonna be buffing this guy. We are now going to bring in our elf, who is now there. Both of these guys are gonna be buffed here. And we might as well just put this guy in front, maybe? Put you in the middle? Actually, we should put this guy in the middle, huh? Because then he's touching a whole bunch of different races. That sounds really weird. But, so the reason I chose this elf to be our main unit is because she is going to get this ability that allows her auto attacks to ricochet, so she can kill more than one enemy essentially at a time. And our dwarf is just our damage dealer because he's a really good buffer and he has to be in the same column as the person that he's buffing. And unfortunately, since I want to take advantage of this character's buff, I essentially can no longer afford to sit not all the way in front, because I'm going to be adding more characters, so I'll need to start filling up all the slots, because I already have too many characters to just sit in these 3 columns, but I can sit in these 3 because there's an extra character slot. So we'll move forward again, but we actually need to level up our characters, because otherwise we are about to get overwhelmed really badly. So we're going to level the crap out of this guy. And we might use this guy as our damage dealer just for the next boss, maybe? Because he is going to have a lot of damage. So we move him up here, our damage actually goes through the roof for a second. So we're going to use him just for the current moment while we still level her up, because she's really expensive to level up. So we need to wait till we get to a point where we're making gold at a degree that actually makes sense to level her up. Who else can we level? We need to honestly level the dwarf like crazy, because he's very cheap at the moment. And we really can just keep going. Like, we got money. Alright, now we have significantly less money. But yeah, like, this guy's damage is just redonkulous at the moment. But the reason that I pick her is because he has a buff that can't go to himself. It can only go to someone else. So if you pick a damage dealer that isn't him, then that damage dealer will just have extra damage purely. Okay, we are going to lose this fight. We'll run up to the boss, but we're actually going to lose this boss fight. Unless we can get enough buffs quickly enough. If we increase our healing, maybe. If we level up this guy more. No, he can't. We don't have enough money to be leveling up that guy. This guy also, if we can get him to 175. So we might actually... Oh, no, 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 not this boss. Not this boss. I hate this boss. Oh my god, we one-shot that boss. Okay. We got lucky because I'm making so much more gold. That boss is always on floor 50 of this campaign. So like every adventure that reaches floor 50 in this campaign is going to have that boss. And his name is the Devourer. And when you reach him, his attack is just to take one of your units, and then like 10-second timer appears next to him. And if the timer reaches 0, that unit dies and he fully heals himself. So if you can't kill him in 10 seconds, you just lose, because then you've lost one of your characters that is probably providing a buff or some sort of damage, which is why you just spam ultimates and hope that you can burst him down quickly. And we need to level up. And we can actually get more damage by keeping him in front. So we'll just pick that one. It's kind of irrelevant what he does because his damage is 9.3 trillion while we're looking at this guy who's doing 10 quadrillion, which is just so much more. It's not even funny. But we will get his next gold buff. And then we'll probably just stop leveling him for a while. Oh, we can't afford his next gold buff. Oh my goodness. Alright, we're trying to save up for his gold buff at the moment. As you can see, we're slowly getting overwhelmed right now, but I continue to move forward. I might need to start moving backwards, because the pixie dust stops us from staying on the same level for too long. But as long as we move forward and backwards, we can negate that. We want our tank to have more health. That seems useful. We need you to be able to see our tank. That would probably be one of the reasons why we've been struggling. And we'll go next. So as you could see there, I had accidentally put our bard down here, which is not 2 slots away from our tank. So our tank was not actually getting that buff that gives the temporary hit points. So we'll try and get our tank to the next thing right here. And then we'll start leveling other people. We can actually increase her temporary hit point thing at the next interval. So you can see how overwhelmed we are becoming now. Honestly, I would like to sit somewhere and just, oh. If you kill the birds too late before the screen comes up, then you don't actually get their gold, unfortunately. Because they need time to drop it before they hit the ground. This guy actually has a pretty useful buff, but since I don't know what's going to be super late game, I might just not level him up at all. So what his buff is he picks a type of unit. So when we hover over this, the sprite, it's a Fae, and when we hover over this is a beast. So he picks a type of unit, and your party then does more damage to that type of unit. Obviously, I want to be doing more damage to something that is very late game. And here we might actually hit our first wall if we don't spam level this guy up, which we don't even have enough money to get him to the next interval. So I think we might hit a wall here unless our ultimates, and this ultimate's actually still on cooldown, so that's a slight issue as well. We have 2 ultimates that are on cooldown. This one, if everyone lines up well, it'll kill a whole bunch of people. That's a fireball. That's gonna stun everybody. And then I like to just click the boss to slow his movement a little bit as he approaches my team. But here you can watch the damage at the top once this guy starts getting enraged. And here's the enrage. Once that goes up, our damage should go up, but it might only happen if the boss is close enough to... Yeah, the boss is not close enough to our tank for it to occur at the moment. The boss seems to be incapable of killing this man. You can see how good that bard buff is. It's kept this random ass unit alive for so long. The dog is now going after our rogue, which is unfortunate, because we're not getting any damage buffs until the dog starts attacking our tank. Once that happens, we will get a lot of damage buffs. And here we go. So, if you saw, our damage went up a ridiculous amount. And we're actually going to be able to kill this boss, I think, just because we have so much damage. Yep, there we go. So this is our DPS. It went up about 10 times as much. when the boss, enraged ×6, walked up to our tank and started attacking. So there you can kind of see the power of that buff specifically. Now the question is do we keep leveling this guy or do we start leveling up the sorceress over here? I think we start leveling the sorceress, but she's gonna get real expensive real fast. We're just gonna pick up gold quickly, because we want to get her to 25 as the level where she gets her thing. I thought someone else died, but it was just our ranger that we hardly worry about anyways. We don't even really need our ranger on the front line. We could probably just put him on the back so people hit our tank more often, so we get more damage buffs more often. So you can see we're picking up like 40 billion gold now every single time. And we click the little distractions in the background. Oh wow, our rogue just got murder stomped. But our damage is ridiculous at the moment, as long as our tank doesn't die, but our tank died. Alright. So the enemies are just gonna run through us, so we go back a level real quick. And so now that we've kind of hit a wall, we start to look for somewhere where I can leave my party to farm, because they are not going to be able to keep going forward as fast as we've been going. I need to stop somewhere and just have them collect gold while I go do something else. This is actually an hour-long video. I've just actively been playing an idle game for an hour now. That's amazing. It's actually a pretty like fun and addicting game for what it's worth. There's like some things that I dislike about it, mostly how simple the damage system is, like how just ridiculously hard it scales, but that's kind of just how clickers work. So we go here now, our damage is actually going to skyrocket because this unit has just been leveling up in the background and is ridiculously strong, and we just put her into the middle of all of these different buffs. So she's actually not gonna get anything else for 50 levels, but I think we're... Well, I guess we could invest in someone else for a little while. Like, this guy's gonna give everyone 200% damage if we get him up 25 levels, so we're definitely gonna go for that. But we don't exactly have quite enough to do that at the moment. But the fact that she's killing 2 units every single time kind of helps with crowd control. But there's just so many of these Pixies that at the same time, I can't really control anything. What we're hoping for is just collect enough hoes so we can get to the next friggin' map. We've done it. And so we're still going for this guy's buff. Do we have quite enough? We do. So everyone just got 200% more damage, which is just absolutely absurd. I wonder if our damage goes up or down if we do that. It goes down. So you can see how valuable this guy's buffs are to this lady, because this lady is doing a ridiculous amount of damage, and he is just increasing that by like 400% or something. So he's very valuable right next to her, and I can't really put someone else to damage. Unfortunately, he's not an AoE. And are we gonna be able to kill enough monsters? Nope, our tank died. So the second our tank dies, we lose a lot of our buffs. So we kind of just dip at that point. We can also use ultimates, but maybe we can just kill this level 60 boss and then call it a video. Get 300% damage there. That's just self-damage. I mean, I suppose we could just start buffing the elf lady. Okay, let's try this one again. I think we should start leveling you. Yeah, here we go. We can get another 100% damage for everyone in 4 more levels. And at least if you are actively playing and your clicker becomes useless, as mine has because I haven't been leveling it up, which we could just level up the clicker like a ridiculous amount, but I still don't think we'll catch up in a meaningful way where we're actually doing any damage that matters. Like, look at this, we're only doing 8 trillion damage. These things have 16 quadrillion health. So it's a little bit tough for the clicker to actually do anything useful. We're 1 level away from this buff. We'll actually just go next. This, I'm definitely getting overrun. And it's because there's so many of these pixies. This pixie modifier is stupid and I hate it. But we'll try and kill this boss, and then we'll call it. We just need 100 more billion, and then we'll get another huge upgrade. There is a huge upgrade. 5 more levels, and we'll get a 200% upgrade on the column behind her. So we'll definitely just go for that right away. And this guy just keeps dying. He's kind of... I guess, can I move him? Let's go fight the boss. I'm gonna move him to the back, because if he's dead, we don't get his gold find. So we might as well not let him die. Like we have been. Because it just decreases how much gold we get. Alright, so what I'm thinking here is I'm gonna let these things get to my tank and start hitting. And then my damage is gonna go through the roof. And I'm gonna pop all of my ultimates. And then we are going to fight. The boss is, however, getting real pissed. So we'll see if we can actually kill this. This is going to be a close fight. But we are getting a lot of damage. And I'm just going to keep clicking because I feel like it helps. I also try and click the things as they fly by. And that was a super fast crow. Gave me a whole bunch of money. Oh, maybe we can get a buff instead. Oh, we got a buff in the middle of the fight. 200% extra damage. We can get 1 more hit. There we go. So we killed that spider boss. It didn't look that close, but it was pretty close. Our tank was 1 hit away from dying. So it was pretty close, because if our tank dies, we wipe, and I have to go back a mission. Plus, none of my ultimate cooldowns come back. So essentially, I can't try again until my ultimate cooldowns come back on some of these harder bosses. Because I actually need those to kill the bosses. So I can't really do anything otherwise. So now I'm just looking to sit here, I guess. As you can see, my team is very strong. But we're getting overrun by the stupid amount of pixies. This is actually just an impossible number of pixies. There's a fast crow. clicking on it. But yeah, I'll level up this lady. And then I'm probably just gonna turn off the game from here and just let it do its thing and see if it actually works with the picks. This person's gonna die. Oh my goodness. So my goal is to turn it off while everyone is alive. But I think if they die while you're not playing, they'll just go to the mission right before it. So it shouldn't be a problem or anything. So I'm just gonna call it here. This is Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms. It's a clicker game. It's apparently if you do this mission, it's pretty interactive because you gotta pay the fuck attention to everything. Otherwise, you get overrun by Pixies, which is what's currently happening. And yeah, if you like the game, try it out. It's free. There's in-game purchases for characters and stuff, but you're not obligated to buy any of those. So you could just try out the game and turn it on in the background while you do something else. Play it in the foreground if you feel like. Watch a video, play a different game while it's going on. Or just send your party into a dungeon and close the game and then come back in 10 hours and see how much gold they collected for you. But either way, hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you found it interesting. And I will see you next time.